Yeah, if Teal is rumored to join T1, how fun would it be if they actually brought back Brax? And then you have actually almost all of the iBuy power go.
These sort of tournaments, invaluable for a team to go in. It wouldn't even matter if they're just messing around, purely to be in an official and get to play with your teammates.
A Ken doll smile on his face, like, oh, Jed's great because you can just escape from everything that happens. And, and I'm thinking, Christ on the bike, this guy's having to do everything on his team. What can I ask? What's his classification as an agent?
Sentinel.
What's up, everybody? Good morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome back to Valoranting for the week of the 14th of November. I'm Mitch Leslie, joined here by our actual crew. For once, we've actually managed to get the 3 people paid to be hosts on this show together on the show at the same time. Look at the fucking head on this guy. Looks like a stubbed toe, doesn't he? Huh? A fucking smacked ass. That's FrosT, of course. He's departing from 100 Thieves. Not the only individual rumored to potentially be leaving that roster, but we'll get onto that later on. We can talk about the newest agent in Valorant, Chamber. I really love this gold plus this chromatic oil slick look. Big fan of that, obviously. If you've seen Average Jonas, specifically or any of the other streamers playing him lately, you know, he's pretty darn scary looking. So we're going to delve a little bit more into him. We're going to hear from the devs. Oh shit, I'm running out of time. Okay, I'm going to talk about RedBull Homegrounds as well, because we ran out of time last week because the police came knocking for Ryan Central. He's been wanted for a number of felonies for quite a while. They finally caught up to him. So I think they realized they could find him once he was verified. But yeah, we didn't cover that last week. Mitch was there, though. We'll have a chance to talk about it today. Again, spoilers, Team Liquid look pretty darn good in Europe right now. And that's it. That is our little around the grounds at the start of the show. So let's dive straight on in. So the coach of 100 Thieves, you may have recognized, you might remember that from the notorious video where he's chewing out a fucking member of NRG's admin staff, has departed. So FrosT, who I discovered because he and Richard Lewis are going out at hammer and tongs on Twitter one day, they are, they're sort of breaking with FrosT now as well. And again, I think Vans, Mitch, I could be wrong, but definitely seemed like what FrosT was involved, I think, with the Flipside Tactics org, but I think that he was definitely, you know, like many coaches in Valorant right now, much of his sort of management and leadership skill set was being leveraged here, I believe.
Yeah, I think even looking at FrosT in general, when he joined this roster, it was with Hiko and also with Teal. If I'm not mistaken, there was some history as well with Teal in terms of them coming in as a package, but the whole beef with him and Richard Lewis, I actually didn't even know. So apparently FrosT went from like being a team owner in the past to actually moving down to being a coach, and now to unfortunately not having anything at all. And I don't know what that beef is. It's funny to read. Got nothing against that, but at the same time, I feel that maybe because Teal is gone, maybe FrosT is also gone out the door too, so that they could try to find the coach that they actually need to fit the play style of the remaining of the roster that's going to stay with 100T.
I guess as well, like, you have to think about it realistically. If the man came onto the roster, I didn't know that, but if it was a package deal, when you get rid of one guy, you know, you can only imagine they probably get on pretty well. It creates a pretty weird team atmosphere. And I guess maybe he also might not be too upset to be leaving and looking for a new home.
Yeah.
It's in fairness,
I was going to say, it's not the same FrosT as people may know from like FrosT with Torqued when it was FrosT playing with Teal. It's a different type of person, but I'm pretty sure that they'd have crossed paths in the past as well as a team, as teammates or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, the guy's been around in the tax shooter space for quite a while, so I'm definitely interested to see what he's. I thought, did he not spend maybe it wasn't with Optic. I don't even know. Again, yeah. So that, I mean, that exchange that was, you know, I only brought that up because that's how I sort of realized, you know, who it was, because I think Richard was ragging on him about how he dealt with that situation. But I mean, both gentlemen in that thread have been known for been very strongly opinionated.
Yes.
Let's talk about the next 100 Thieves rumor though, because I came across, I don't know how you guys came across this, but I came across this because all I saw was Nitro posted the fucking the popcorn eating gif, and I'm like, oh, hang on, what's this about? And so I make my way over here, and it looks, I think this is from Upcomer, right? It's hinted or rumored that Nitro might be leaving the 100 Thieves roster and maybe returning to CSGO. I mean, that's undecided, so I mean, that's not even on the table, but I mean, Nitro leaving the roster was, I would say, it's probably one of the least expected people I thought they would part ways with at this point. I don't know what you guys think, but it's wild.
I'm trying to find a tweet. I think it was from like Official Blay or somebody else that's like in the analyst scene or caster scene, where they took a screenshot of the history of Nitro on Face It. So that was like last weekend or something like that, and he just played like 8 or 9 games in a row. So now it brings into the rumor of what's going on with upcomers, saying that, you know, he might be considering going back to CS. For me personally, I think it's just one of those rumors where, again, that popcorn comes out and it's almost like a clickbait at that point, because, you know, it's off season right now for 100 Thieves. Are they really going to try to compete for anything else right now? Not really. And at the same time, now with FrosT being gone, Teal being gone, they still have to probably rebuild on top of that. So there's still a waiting time frame for the remaining players for now. And if you're on an off season and you've grinded the game for about 2 or 3 months to try to qualify through LCQ to champions and you didn't get it, you get bummed out. You might not want to play Valorant for a bit, and you want to play a different game just to fucking relax. Like let players play different games. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to switch because of that.
Yeah, I got infinitely worse at games when I had a kid, by the way. Just putting that out there. I don't know if that's the situation.
Great
for Nick,
excuse.
He was playing very
Life
well.
hack,
Still,
don't get kids.
I turned into a video game boomer, man. I can't even get out of silver in Valorant. It's that bad. It's fucking dire.
You're living the Tombiz lifestyle. I appreciate that.
To be fair, I reckon if I wasn't like trying to stay in shape, I'd maybe be able to grind games more. But it's just
I'm proof of that.
Justified.
I'd say I like that though. It's still nice to get the physique in, man. Get that.
The proof
get
is
those
in the
workouts.
pudding, as is my fucking fork. Anyhow, something about
Yeah,
Nitro.
only so many hours in the day. I think like Nitro obviously has nothing to gain by by actually telling the truth here. You can just fucking do whatever.
Absolutely.
I just thought that the buck might stop at Teal and maybe FrosT right after you know, fortune started to sour a little bit for this team, and especially because Nitro seemed like the motherfucker who just stepped up and did everything.
Yeah,
you know, he just like, you know,
it wouldn't make
motherfucker out there playing Jet, and he sat there with like a, you know, a fucking Ken doll smile on his face, like, oh, Jet's great because you could just fucking escape from everything that happens. And it's, you know, I'm thinking, Christ on the bike, this guy's having to do fucking everything on this team. And look, Ethan obviously also is really flexible, but that's it, right? The rest of this team are pretty like we know what Hiko plays for the most part. Obviously playing a lot more Viper now as well. We know what arsena plays, so you know you need to have
Dewey, right? Or Dewey. So let's say on the other side of the coin, if the rumor is true and then Nitro is leaving the team and going back to Counter-Strike, then who's going to be IGLing? Are you going to give that responsibility to Hiko because he has that experience, or are you going to try to bring in a new IGL? And if you want to potentially bring in Seven when you already signed him in the beginning as a sub or whatnot, is he going to come in and play a duelist? Is that going to put Acend as a duelist? Or are you going to put Ethan now on a Sentinel? Who knows, right? There's still so many unanswered questions that needs to be answered with not only Nitro leaving, but what the future of 100 Thieves is going to look like in terms of their agent comps.
I mean, between this and T1, the NA rumor mill is going to be well fed.
Oh yeah,
it just feels like clickbait, really. Like, but then again, that's the thing. It's where I get paranoid. It's like we've seen a lot of roster moves where realistically they're clickbait, but they somehow happen as well. It feels like we're living in April 1st sometimes when it comes to roster decisions. So who knows? But I would say it looks like it's just a couple of clickbait articles put out there. And troll off Nitro.
And Tanner Metro brought it up too. Is like, hey, Asano was playing with actually homeless for that Valorant Elite Showdown that we'll talk about later, just like plugging with his friends or whatnot. And he was playing that Sova, and I just replied there to you saying like, it's gonna be a waste actually to have Asano going as a Sova when you already have Hiko as well. So I don't foresee Hiko going to like controller or anything like that too. I think he's gonna remain as that.
Right,
Sova.
unless there's a world where like you want Sova Viper comms? Question mark.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I think that I love star players on Sova. You know, it's always actually really like Crashies on Sova is really fun to watch. I think. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Let's. All right. So I think this was like the really low effort, obvious, you know, connection that we made a couple of weeks ago talking about Steel's departure, and then looking at a absolute shambling monstrosity of cobbled together bits and pieces that is T1, with the inability to sort of get value out of their players, like Brax, for example. T1 is in discussion to sign Steel from 100 Thieves. He's not signed at this time, though. So T1 has had, I feel like T1 has had a storied history of having very strong-willed, opinionated IGLs on their team, right? I don't know. I don't really think that equating Steel to Dazed is reasonable. I also don't know enough about the individuals themselves, but I get a similar vibe from them in terms of they have a very sort of, a strong idea about how they think the game should be played.
Yeah.
This would mean that Curry, who had to step up and be an IGL after being didn't he get brought up from the academy team? Was that, that was Dawn? Excuse me.
Yeah. He came from even just CS.
Gotcha.
With Triumph, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So T1 obviously a bit of a no-brainer, right, for Steel to be the IGL and Curry to maybe not have to worry about it too much here. So can we bring that up one more time, because there was a little addendum on that I wanted to refer to. Spider's future remains unclear. He's practiced with the Guard, which is the Cronky Sports and Entertainment's, the Gladiators, the Gorillas, the Guard, the Gigolos, that organization. So the last time Spider played, it was 7 months ago, and there's this whole back and forth about him, like his mental health and yada yada yada. So what is it? Who is this team then? Now, who is this team? Curry, Dawn, yeah,
Skadoodle,
Automatic,
and potentially Steel. It's not bad, actually.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So what I would like is, so Dawn, yes, definitely great Viper. Had a great round playing like Viper on Icebox and save T1 in multiple occasions to actually allow them to get a good run. I forgot in whatever event. But if Steel,
it's forgettable.
Yeah, if Steel is rumored to join T1, how fun would it be if they actually brought back Brax, and then you have actually almost all of the iBuy power go.
This is like trying to be in a relationship with someone who just can't decide if they want to be in a relationship with you, like this fucking back and forth. Like Twifo, sorry, we
forgot about Twifo. Yeah,
we're out of date on that particular news. I fucking like that team then if Steel joins it, but. Yeah, the Brax is not coming back. Why are we doing this? This would be the third or fourth time that he's decided he's going to come back and play on this fucking T1 team after just being shuffled around incessantly. Motherfucker wears a neck brace from all his fucking Whiplash fans.
Definitely, but I don't think it's going to happen. I was just bringing that up for fun. But the roster in itself looks pretty decent, to be honest. And you're alleviating the IGL role of Curry. And giving it to Steel, which would be nice, because at some point we joke around about he'll never live it down, but like the Curry staying spawned on Icebox's Viper, I also at some point was IGLing as a lurk in Reyna. Now if you're actually allowing Steel to actually call out for the team, then you might be able to unleash a little bit more out of Curry to maybe even play a duelist and move forward. But again, I feel that this roster is very similar to 100 Thieves, where there's still an identity crisis in terms of who wants to play what, right? Now, rumors is that Skadoodle may want to go back and play as a Jet Op. Who else is going to be a Jet Op? I mean, Automatic at some point was rifling, but also very much opping too in his CS days. Steel could also still op as a Killjoy. They could do this double Killjoy setup, and especially with Chambers coming out, Steel could also play a Chambers as a Sentinel as well, and also op. And man, double op setups are going to come back actually in Valorant now that I think about it.
I just think that's a team that with a coach who's not like necessarily in the weeds as a Valorant specific mastermind. So I think that the more veterans you have on that team, the more you can create. You can sort of supplement that. I think the Sentinels do the same thing, or they did, and they still will. I think with now Raucus joining that team. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I just would like to see T1 play a few tournaments in a row with the same lineup.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really nice. I think that there's so much chopping and changing. It's fine because it's not. It's like it's different players that have different, scruples at certain point in time. But again, I think people just want to see a little bit of stability from that roster. So, and everyone who builds a roster like this always says the same thing, right? Like building for the future. Okay, well, you brought Dawn up from Academy, now he's going back to Academy. You made Curry IGL, now he's not going to IGL potentially. You're sending, Brax comes in, he goes out, he goes in, he goes out, he goes in, he goes out. Like it's not building for the future at all. Right? So. Hopefully this org has so much infrastructure. It's actually insane. They have so much capacity to provide a very fertile ground for a combination of young players and tested veterans. You know what I mean? I think it's a no-brainer for Steel to join this team, but Christ, man, I think T1 fans, if there are any at this point, I'm not trying to be rude. Like, it's just very hard to support a team that, like, you don't know what their identity is and you don't know even who their players are. Like,
my stonks are back up with T1 if Steel goes in, right? Big fan of Skadoodle, big fan of Curry, big fan of Automatic. So and Thwyfo even. I think that roster overall looks pretty good. So with Steel joining our roster, I feel that it could be a team that could compete into next season. And that rumor that you were saying that if Spider joins the guard, that roster is also looking pretty decent right now too. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, Valen, fucking Spider. All right, so
Spider
let's keep talking about boomers, because this is what we do. This is how we feel represented. Is by continuing to talk about boomers in Valorant kids game. So Hazed left TSM. Now when TSM were making all their shuffles, and when obviously Drone left and Cutler, I was like, please don't get rid of Hazed. Like, I think I mean, I was just fanboy. I had no real like legitimate fucking analysis for that, but he does depart this team eventually. So that is the latest permutation of TSM's sort of shuffle. So he was removed. So I think fair enough that he wants to make this clear. There are a lot of people that want to give the impression that they left of their own accord because it looks better for them, but I sort of appreciate this. And so he moves over to NRG, a team who we've said stacked with talent, like really insane individuals, just fucking mental players.
Yeah.
So this is good, especially for, as he says here, maybe I think Hazed maybe wasn't believed in by his teammates, which is a real shame because this guy has been around for a long time. He's got really storied history in tac shooters. But what do you think about the move to NRG then? Because this was a team we said fucking stacked, insanely talented roster, but like who's leading this team? Like, why can't they get good results out of these incredible players? Like, what have they had? Fucking, they saw them. We did. Android on this team. Obviously, we're departing now as well. Just to name a few.
Yeah.
So, what do we think?
So first off, even the clarification coming in from Hazed was that he actually didn't really leave the team for TSM. He actually got cut, right? So he wanted to stay. He wanted to still continue to lead TSM, but it was a decision by the organization, unfortunately, to let him go. So Hazed gets cut from that roster, but thankfully he's able to find a great roster overall and play with his great friend Sam Som. And have a pretty decent roster. What this looks like for NRG right now for me is still like kind of weird because yes, they have a roster of talented fraggers. And when we're going to talk about the Valorant Elite Showdown later on today, you have Android playing as a Cypher. So that's already a big change of what like we brought Android in potentially in the first place into NRG as that star duelist, and now there's still going to be that roster shakeup, that agent composition shakeup, and you're just trying to work the chemistry. But I feel that Hazed has that leadership to be able to wheel that together, and it's going to take some time still for NRG, unfortunately.
I was kind of surprised with TSM though. Well, like maybe I'm out of the loop on that, but what are they up to these days? Because they basically don't have a roster now, right? And like they're making a lot of changes. Are they just going to sit dormant? Like, because I thought NA is pretty active, right? You guys have a lot of tier 2, tier 3 tournaments
for sure.
Yeah, it's strange for the off season to maybe like are they sitting back and just saying, "Oh, fuck it, we'll wait to find out what's happening next year or whatever."
For TSM, from what I heard, is that rumors are is that Corey is going to be joining that roster, right? So that's probably the hottest topic right now as FaZe imploded, with Raucus joining Sentinels most recently as a coach, short term. But
hang on, what? Yeah, was that a short term decision? The Raucus move?
Yeah, because I think there was already a conversation from Raucus already that he actually still probably would want to compete going into the VCT season of 2022. But because there's already a huge gap or a waiting time between champions until the next season in February, he's like, "What the hell can I do? Screw it. Let's just try to see what's out there." And he reached out to Sentinels, and then he got picked up as a coach. And that was over in a span of 2 days. That was like a spontaneous thing. And I got all these sources actually from Backchat. If you guys want to check that out, it was an interview there that just came out between Raucus and Sideshow and Bren that had like an extensive conversation with Raucus about his career and what he's planning to do with Sentinels. It's really cool. But that said, to go back on the topic of TSM, then now the rumor is that Corey is going to move over from FaZe to TSM, and that potentially maybe even, this is now rumor mill, that King FPS, maybe as a joke, is going to be that ex-Noble IGL, now IGL for TSM, but we'll soon find out, I think, in a few weeks.
What's the landscape like right now? Like, they're not really in a rush, right?
No.
The next couple weeks at least.
They're going to wait till February. Right?
Oh, well,
February
let's
is when the
hope
new
not.
season's coming out. I don't see them playing any like NSGs, or I didn't see them try to like bring a roster to plug in together and trial some players to play for the Valorant Elite Showdown.
So hard to justify paying your players for this 3-month.
Yeah, it really is.
3-month window.
I mean, you got fucking FTX, whatever, as the crypto $10 million injection into your company. So
yeah, I mean, but I'm pretty sure like Reggie's had to use most of that for hush money, to be honest. You know, considering he's just making people cry on the daily, apparently. You know what I mean? Just saying. Okay, should we move on?
Oh, this took a turn for
Hey,
worse.
listen, Mr. Din, if you have a problem, you know how to call me, mate.
Oh, my God.
We can talk it out. All right, so G2 Gozen, you know, obviously one of the most promising sort of game changers rosters, have made some changes here. So Carcass joins here, and Cecilia, excuse me, I don't know the exact pronunciation for it. Scylla, I guess, is according to the graphic. So this obviously Carcass comes in as a coach here as well. This also means that aNNja is getting benched on this team. I think G2, they definitely, you know, they I wouldn't say they've emulated C9 White's sort of undisputed dominance through their particular scene here. I know they had some serious back and forth. Like that 10-star team, I think, really handed it to them, right?
Well, what I will say, like, G2 making a change of taking aNNja out is a really strange one, because she was really, really solid when we saw her. I think overall, G2's problems, what we could chalk them up to in the previous Game Changers, was like a lack of familiarity, or let's say comfort even. It's not that they didn't know things, but having those split-second decision-making, it wasn't quite there. I think the girls are still kind of tuned into CS a little more than Valorant. So there's specific things that over time you can see fixing. Other than those kind of things, we didn't have a lot of criticism about the roster themselves, not surprisingly, because it's just a bunch of incredibly talented and proven tier 1 female CSGO players. But taking aNNja out, while it's interesting, and afterwards they've gotten some good results. Like you said, the 10-star game, they 2-0'd them. But all we've got is scoreboards for that, right? I couldn't tell you anything about how it's actually changed the team. I can tell you aNNja was one of the better players on that roster, I think, in terms of decision making, in terms of being tuned in. So I don't know. I'm super excited to see what it's actually going to amount to now, because hell yeah, the results are looking fantastic, but we don't have any streams for these early games, so sadly, we don't get to watch them.
It kind of sucks, but I mean, I get it.
I think
it's being discussed,
winning,
and I know,
right?
I know it's definitely a big priority coming up into next year for Game Changers, or any sort of female scene like this, because I just had the discussion with the people. A couple of us brought it up that, you know, because I don't know if you guys, oh yeah, you have it in NA, right? The watch parties, when it came to open qualifiers, you would have all the games covered by a variety of different streams. So like we brought up that concept, said like, hey, you know, why don't we do the same thing here? And I think something like that, or just a method that will have more games on, will be prioritized.
I mean, look, in fairness, it was something that, you know, I think has been it's emerged pretty quickly, right? The game changer scene in general, which I obviously I appreciate the haste with which that was implemented, considering that, you know, there are some, you know, tournament organizers or game developers that just haven't even attempted to try and do this thing. So I mean, that's quite refreshing. Yeah, we get it. It's fun. Nice to see more games. Misfits. Yeah, the Misfits. You know, we saw them in League of Legends, I think, primarily. Other games as well. They have an Overwatch League team. They are set to enter Valorant with a women's roster, the 24 Haven roster, potentially. Looks like what they're trying to sign, which is good. I mean, this roster, I thought, you know, was definitely one of the better unsigned teams. I think, you know, there were like, what, a handful, I think, of unsigned teams that made it to, what, the double elimination bracket at the end of the last NA Game Changers. So, Vans, this is pretty promising.
Yeah, pretty promising indeed. I think Misfits, the only roster that I remember was CSGO, when you had Sean Garris, Shazam, and Sick in that roster too. So entering Valorant, picking up a women's team. I mean, it's an organization that has great support. Love their logo as this battle bunny. I don't know if it's gonna be revamped or not.
24 Haven, isn't that like a streamer house?
I can't remember exactly if it's actually the team of like boomer women, like nurses and stuff of that have been playing CS for quite a while and just decided to make a team together to try it out in the women's scene. I could be wrong, but I do remember at least watching some 24 Haven that they actually are a pretty decent roster. So
Right. Okay.
okay, it's a team that has Dapper's girlfriend. Thanks, LBJ. Okay, so
Gotcha.
yeah, so I was thinking of a different team.
Well, I think they made a pretty deep run, I think, if I recall,
Mhm.
last time around.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
keep an eye out for them. This is an interesting one. You remember how we were talking about Globe and sort of how he was one of the sort of the most veteran players in South Korean Valorant and tac shooters in general, and obviously ended up retiring or stepping back. And we all wanted Wolf Solos in a very similar position as someone who's really quite tenured, been around for a while, but can he hang? Well, it turns out Solos made the decision to step back here from New Turn.
It's sad, man.
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, New Turn's obviously, I would say, not been the same team since Lakia departed.
They're not a team at all anymore, Uber.
Well,
because now that Solo's gone, and like 9 hours ago or 12 hours ago, whatever, there's a tweet also that came out that Hyunny's also out of the roster too. So if you actually even look at the Wikipedia and try to find the roster, the active squad from New Turn, there's only Perry that's left right now. So this team is non-existent. You're gonna have to just rebuild from zero.
it sounds
real
like
shame.
he will retire entirely from Valorant. So it's not just departing this New Turn roster. 20 years as a TAC FPS player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look a day over 25. Unreal. And Hyunny, obviously, like you mentioned, he also is stepping back. So fair enough. I mean, this is a changing of the guard in South Korean Valorant for sure. Now with, I mean, this puts Glow and Solo both in positions of, you know, being able to still impart a lot of their expertise from coaching roles if they choose to do so.
Coaching,
I think for guys
whatever.
like them, yeah, they'll have a better time in those kind of roles, especially considering, you know, they've been there, they've done the grind, and in Valorant, as we've discussed, it's attack FPS on crack. Like, you just have to keep up with new metas, new agents coming out. It is exhausting playing this game at like a high level and ranked season to season. So you can only imagine what these guys go through. I imagine they're a little bit tired, you know, after all that time. And I think a lot of these guys will have looked at it and said, hey, look, we make champions, we go hard, we see where we end up afterwards. If we don't, just call it there. Let's, you know, we've got our money, we've got our pride. And they're still going out pretty, I wouldn't say on top of their game, but certainly very close to it.
So, Vans, give me an example of a Valorant player that was really electrifying in like early days, but when VCT started, they were never able to live up to that reputation. Is there any you can think of?
I think when it comes down to prestigious players such as Skadoodle and Automatic or anybody along that era of like
Sean
iBuy
Bears.
Power, and trying to make something going on.
Impressive at the start. Never mind.
Yeah, they look pretty promising as like major winners and stuff like that too. And once you get into the VCTs, there was no proof that they were going to be able to go anywhere far so far. So
We got one of those in Overwatch. His name is Yuri Maslin, or Linzr, who's recently just announced that he is retiring from the Overwatch. So Linzr was one of the most electrifying players in early Overwatch. Definitely one of Europe's most promising prospects, known as Finland's gift to esports. He was like a Widowmaker player, hit scan based DPS player, really, really good. Then he joined the Houston Outlaws in the Overwatch League and failed to really help that team achieve anything of note, and ended up on the Vancouver Titans, a team that was just basically, I mean, plagued by poor management, I think. And again, he never really reached those dizzying heights in the Overwatch League. So he's retiring, and he's curious about Valorant and its pro scene. So he's been playing quite a lot of Valorant. He's not really interested in Overwatch 2's 5v5 prospects, so he still has that competitive drive. This is interesting. Definitely, you know, reminds me a little bit of Spider, I think. We'll see, I think, what Linzr can do. I think he was an incredibly good Wolfenstein ET player. It was very well known.
Ooh.
So that going back a little while now, he
2005.
was like, he's a fucking gamer. So we'll see as he sort of ages a little bit whether he can make his way into Valorant. He was definitely one of like the hottest prospects in early Overwatch, but hasn't really lived up to his name. So keep an eye out for that one. We'll see. His toot longer is a little bit vague. He wants to do everything, don't we all? There's only so many hours in the day. Here's another player though that has again professed their desire to continue to compete. So it looks like Pitt's contract with G2 is now over. He spent, Jesus, fuck, Mitch, like quite a few months just, sat on the bench in this team as he sort of let that contract expire. So we know he's departed G2. I guess they couldn't find anyone willing to sort of buy him out. And now he's a free agent.
Yeah, from what I understand, their contracts are quite high value. So buyouts were a lot. I don't want to delve too much into detail there, but certainly from other players within that Valorant roster that I've heard, numbers were fucking ridiculous. So very hard to get picked up. I don't think that's any reflection on him as a player. Someone we were massive fans of. I was sad to see him step down, hoping he found a team soon. Now, obviously, again, with the way EU is structured, you're talking a couple months before he'll really get the chance to step up on like a top level. That's where I'm hoping we get more of those like homeground style events, just like fun events, just for cash. Players can come up in, and hopefully we'll see some more guys. I think there's a lot of players like Pyth who've kind of just, he's out of sync with the roster moves, stuck on that G2 roster till the end. Now the contract's done, but no one's looking to pick up players. We're seeing it in NA where there's even more excuse to. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really shitty position for him to be in. Personally, I feel for him. But I think they've done a really good job, and I think it's something G2 did a really good job of, which is forcing their players to be very active on socials, but also to stream, to just get out there and put themselves out there. So even when Pyth is kind of off there, he still has the option to build that Twitch community to at least make some money in that terrible off season.
Again, guy got paid until his contract was over, so he's not destitute. If anyone's worried about that, I think hopefully he can sort of chill for the next few months and sort of be okay. So, as they say, I don't know who says this. I may have said this at some point or another, maybe referring to myself. Daddy's here. Daddy is here. Chamber is live today. The guy's daddy is fuck right now, not gonna lie. Looking pretty fucking sharp.
Looks pretty
obviously,
look,
I mean, this guy was teased, I think, with like that sequence where like the bullet striking the middle of fucking fracture, and everyone's like, oh, it's like a sniper based agent, you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, suffice to say, right actually tweeted Daddy's home, by the way. They did it. I think because of the connotations, they had to delete that tweet, which is a shame. But we all fucking know, right? We know this guy's daddy. Let's show everyone fucking old mate Chamber. So he was released today. Has some insane abilities that I admittedly don't quite understand yet, but that's why Vans and Mitch are here on the show. So
what?
Let's bring it up. Production
This Chamber?
Fucking bring it up. Fucking Chamber bring it up.
Is that English for a room? Chambre?
Chamber. All right, so what is this? Motherfucker got some oil on the ground. Yeah? What's left over from slicking back his fucking hair? Slowing people up. All right, shit.
It's basically an alarm bot. I think he has two of them. Oh yeah, it says there 2 charges. So he has like 2 little alarm bots that are active. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vans. Across the map, right?
Yeah, and you could shoot it out too. So it's visible. So you could actually just hide it in. You have to hide it like carefully, but as soon as it spots you, it's pretty instant how it slow traps you.
Right. So that is trademark. Yes, Yugi boy, you've activated my trap card. I like that. I mean, it doesn't do anything else but slow them, right? Does it damage them as they walk across it?
No. And thankfully, there's not another debuff.
It's basically like a trap wire, more or less.
And it creates the slow field with the target as the center of it.
Correct.
So they're guaranteed to have to walk out of it, right?
Yep. Yeah. You can't shoot it out. You can't jump out of it. You can't bunny hop. You actually have to pay attention to where those turrets are being placed.
Huh. Yeah, I think the use of it is very much going to be just holding that info, like whether they break it or not. You put it on a corner, they can't walk past. They have to be detected by it. Got to get the information. It's a free hold, and as we're going to go further into his kit, you'll see how kind of ridiculous it is to have that trapwire type ability, and then everything else.
Yeah, okay, all right, good segue, bitch. I'll let you have it. Let's look at his next ability. It's called Headhunter. Fucking hell. Don't want to spend $800 for this thing? Well, still have to. Guess what? Get fucked. Because it's $100 per bullet. Motherfucker pulls out a fucking deagle, I guess.
Yeah.
And
One
just
shot
blows
headshot.
people's-
Regardless
Excuse
of
me?
range.
Yeah.
Regardless
it has
of the range.
ADS?
It has ADS and it has a 100% headshot kill ratio. No matter where you are on the map.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that it's better than the Sheriff.
There's no 145
obviously-
damage and no damage fall off.
Nope. It's better than a Phantom at range. You know, if you can one tap them, they're gone. They're done. And you can
what
have
the-
this on an eco. You can just buy one charge, just like one bullet. Go out there golden gunning that shit. It's really interesting. You know, you got your slows on one side defending that side of the map, then you're fucking basically opping. You've got like a Marshall for 100 credits. It's an interesting
About the spread
kit.
on this bad boy, because obviously when you start going to town with the Sheriff, it gets a little bit how you going.
Mm-hmm. I also wonder, just to take a step back now on the trade markability with the turrets, am I going to have to add more importance to playing agents like Raze and Breach to counter the trademark abilities? For example, again, we saw that slow that Chamber is able to do at the entrance of B main, and if you're actually hiding that turret in the corner on the left side, you can't really
can't do
wall
anything
bang it,
about it.
right? So how do you get rid of it?
Yeah.
You have to settle charge it. You have to maybe aftershock it.
darts.
So yeah, shock darts as well, but shock darts is like Silva and Split, very very rare.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
there's definitely you're gonna start getting into like uncharted territory of actually picking agents now that specifically counters others, in my opinion. It's gonna be interesting to see how that develops.
Our pick phases aren't going to be the same in like, I don't know, I'm going to say a year. We're going to have to change pick phases, and it'll
Yeah.
make the game so much better. Like whether it's a system that you can only have one agent locked in, or you lock them in one at a time, and like your opponents have to, like, you get to see what they're locking in, something like that. Dude, we could have such an interesting draft phase alone when it comes to Valorant because of things like that. Are you going to
Yeah.
use, you know, one team picks a Jet while the other team picks a Chamber? It's like shit like that. Ooh, it could be so much fun.
And again, like the schedule for agent release is pretty robust so far. Like we've had quite a few added,
months.
and yeah, I mean that's pretty wild. So yeah, in time we could have quite a fleshed out roster of them here. That's Headhunter. Let's talk about Rendezvous, because this one here is his signature ability. So throws down a thing, and then he goes and fucking throws down another thing.
Yeah, everything that gets thrown down just now, really, it looks like one, the Masters trophy, and two, just like those stones from the Fifth Element.
Yeah, or Mass Effect. So all right, so what are the two little indicators there above the abilities, right? So you could basically, what you throw this down, you create 2 points, you teleport in between them, or how's this work?
You stay in the range
Is it a
of
send
one.
and a receive?
Yeah, exactly. Send and receive.
You got to be there. Yeah, you got to be close to. So you see the little circles. Got to be within that. If you press the button, you'll TP over to the other one. But what? And I'll pull up a tweet here. I'll send it to the guys, see if we can get it on the show. FrosT tweeted out a clip from the playtests, and it was insane. It's faster than the Yoru TP in the sense that when you press the button to TP, you instantly become invisible, like untouchable. So if you go out
Actually,
with an operator,
Yeah.
take the shot, you can instantly dismiss out of there to a different angle.
Yeah.
And they can't kill you. You're untradeable completely. It's kind of insane.
And actually, Daniel, can you go back to that clip of Average Jonas? Pay attention to the bottom of the UI now, guys, because when he places those rendezvous points at the bottom, you see how it activates the left and the right above, like your sheriff bullets and your teleportation. So you could actually choose which one you're going to.
Right, it says which one you're in range of.
And you could click to go to either or. So it's not a send and receive. It's just like go one or the other.
Yeah, you go back, but there is a
I
cooldown,
think
right?
there is.
Associated with like 15
Yeah,
seconds.
so you have to you can recall to the first one you place, I think, from anywhere. If I understood that, like after a certain, so you put down your TPs. Okay, well here's a different thing. So this is the shot you're gonna see. He instantly teleports to the other side, and the animation starts when you've already teleported. So it is an instant. You're out of there. You're gone, and then the animation plays. So you're not stuck in the
It's like
open at
dismiss
any point.
almost.
It's literally better than a jet dash because you don't fucking dash. You just
Disappear.
teleport to cover.
And it's not like a
crazy.
Yoru, like, oh, I'm disappearing kind of thing. It was like
It's gonna have to, so it's like the vulnerability frames are the invulnerability frames rather are extremely long on that ability. And even though you're
You don't have
visible
to get a
them,
kill.
shot.
This is the thing. Imagine Scream. Scream on Arena is fucking terrifying. Why? Because he will peek out on mid here on split, for example. He'll one tap you and dismiss out of there. But 10% of the time, fuck it, it's Scream. 5% of the time, he'll miss that one tap, and you're then going to be able to kill him because he can't dismiss. Well, if he's got Chamber, he can just waltz on out, take that one tap, and if he misses it, he's still teleported out of there and safe. Then he's got this tour de force operator in a couple rounds, and he's got little bits of information across the map. It's pretty, like, his belt is insanely stacked, in my opinion. I think this guy's gonna fucking shake up the ranked world at the very minimum.
Oh yeah.
What can I ask? What's his classification as an agent?
Sentinel.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is why we don't go by the in-game classification.
Right. just wanted to know. So we have some specifics about it, I think, as well, that like the developers provided, talking a little bit about some of the numbers behind this stuff. We throw up these. Daniel, roll C7. Thank you. All right, so this is obviously what Lothar has sort of talked about. So yeah, one tab across the map. Each bullet is 100 creds, so you can, you spend 800. Yeah, unreal. TP's instant. Operator costs 7 orbs, has 5 bullets, and it's an insta kill if you hit it direct. So even if you leg someone, like with the operator, you might not kill them. This one you sort of can. What is this after killing slows area? Excuse me?
Yeah.
When you kill someone with the ult, it then pops out, that slow we saw earlier on from the
Trademark.
trademark. Thank you. It does the same thing. It drops that
No.
on their body. So if they're
No.
rushing mid and you op one of them, now all the other motherfuckers are stuck. being slowed in the-
Oh, yeah.
Look, there you go.
It's like Jin. It's like Jin.
Yeah.
When Jin kills someone in League of Legends, it
Oh,
drops
yeah.
the fucking
Yeah.
rose.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude, how sick would that be though, right? When you're looking at this right now, it's like, holy crap, now I'm just thinking about it's going to be so oppressive. So you have a tool de force or whatever, and then you also have the trademark ability. The trademark ability is going to spot somebody and slow you. On top of that, your Astra is going to say, okay, we found some enemies. Let me throw a gravity well down there. Oh yeah, let me throw a concuss while you're out there too. Let's throw some paint shells.
merde.
No.
Oh, merde, I'm out of ammunition in my sniper rifle. What will I do? Oh, I'll pull out my one-shot headshot pistol for 800 credits. Literally, he will go into a round, spend 800 credits, and provided he already has the shields, maybe he's buying, okay, spend a 1.8k, and he's got the ability to one-tap you across the map, and 5 bullets that fucking insta-kill you in the leg, even. It's
Dude,
insane.
I've
Every
missed the
couple of
Mitchman
rounds.
French accent,
Yeah,
by the way. It's
I've
been
never heard it.
far too long.
I mean, I speak
To bring
French. I
back
don't
the
even sound like
Maniac
that.
impressions.
Mais là,
Shit.
de quoi tu parles? Moi, je sors ça, puis je tire ici, puis là.
Oh.
That's the
Right,
Quebec.
so,
way.
yeah, I guess the headhunter bullets also carry over, which is just mental. So you can just like stock yourself up during
Dude.
subsequent buy rounds. And
Dude,
make
someday
sure that your
Riot are gonna
first
just
eco
flip a
is-
switch. It's gonna have a little switch, and it's like when you die, you lose your utility, and the whole Valorant scene is gonna just fall apart.
Yeah.
No one's gonna know what the fuck to do anymore.
There you go. It's a two-way
So,
TP, so
yeah.
you could choose where you want to land here, according to Lothar's tweet. So that clarifies what we're looking at before. So it's not a center receive. It's like you can go either or when you place them down.
Thing-
Man,
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, obviously, you have to be within range of one of them, but yeah,
Yes.
you can TP to the closest one or the
Yes.
furthest one.
Yeah.
Once you're in range.
Now,
No.
yeah. Go ahead, Uber.
I'm just saying, like, you could take the one-shot insta kill from your sniper rifle and still make him busted if you get the slow field from a direct hit. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
you could, it's fucking insanely strong as it is.
He TPs away so that the rest of his teammates could actually do some oppressive shit by throwing paint shells, shock darts, or whatever. So for people who think that Chamber probably is not going to be an agent that's going to be picked that much, I still stand by it. I think Chamber is definitely going to be groundbreaking going into the compositions of future professional play. I think he's now a must pick. After we're continuing to talk about what he could do with his abilities.
Well, Ryan Central actually had a chat with the developer, and I love this. Obviously, Ryan, great guy, verified on Twitter. It's his birthday today.
Birthday, yeah. That's why he didn't get arrested. It was his birthday.
That's right. Now, if you wish him a happy birthday, he'll reward you with a gun buddy. That's basically. his
Oh
MO.
no!
This essentially, I got one the other day. I got a gun buddy by telling Vans that he wasn't terrible at casting. Fuck, man, life is good. Rich get richer. So he talks about some of the concerns with one of the developers at Riot. So let's roll this in here from Ryan Central and someone from Riot talking about Chamber.
I think you sort of mentioned it before when it comes to the blind spot of economy manipulation. Is that the thing that I guess, like, does it concern you? Is that your major concern when it comes to the agent? But more so, like, what is the thing that you're looking at and keeping a close eye on that is maybe likely to change if Chamber comes in a bit over or undertuned?
So one of the things that we do with all of our agents now is that before they launch, we actually create a bunch of things to keep an eye. We create a list of things that we want to keep an eye on. So if this character ends up being over or undertuned in different ways, like what would be the first things that we would look at? It's never just like one thing. It's usually like, well, if they're too strong in this way, then it, maybe we look at this ability. If it's too strong in this way, we look at that ability. If it's not performing well enough, like it's probably because of X, Y, or Z, right? So with Chamber, we have like a list like that for sure. Economy manipulation is definitely one of the things on the list. Like, does Chamber just have full like weapons every single round of every single game, and T like basically just doesn't have to use the economy? Like that would be a bad outcome for us. We wouldn't want it to be that potent. But if Chamber is able to be smart and clever, like, can he manipulate the economy in a way that can leave him more set up for success, or like have more weapons, but not in a way that feels just like completely overbearing? That was probably closer to what we would want. I think one of the other ones, I think the other two things just off of the top of my mind immediately are how potent is the trade denial? Like having another character that can trade deny by teleporting around a map and like taking a peek and like getting a pick on someone and then dipping. Like right now, it's really just Jet and Reyna to a degree that can do that. So having a third agent that's able to do something that's very much in that vein, like how does that just kind of change the meta, change the game, especially on maps like Breeze where they tend to be a bit longer range? Like you can kind of hold some of those angles and teleport around. Like, is it just going to be Chamber, Jet, and like Reyna on like every single Breeze map and Viper on every single Breeze map? And like, is that just like such a powerful thing that it requires us to do some additional tweaking or tuning? Like that's something that we want to keep an eye on.
I mean, okay.
Answer is
First
yes.
of all, that 1v2 situation was fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
What you can do there. But hey, I love they brought up the point about economy and manipulation. What are your kind of thoughts about this, given that there's so much weaponry baked into Chamber's kit for free?
Yeah, I agree
one
with
of the problems I'm always going to have with Valorant is I feel like we're still a little bit too generous when it comes to economy. Like I feel like we don't make teams work for it as hard as they necessarily should, especially considering some of the ultimates that we have in the game being so cheap and so impactful. I've always been a big fan, like in CS when the change was made that made the game much more buy heavy. You wouldn't have as many ecos, you wouldn't get punished as much for making mistakes on buy rounds. That never sat well with me. And for Valorant, I've sort of since beta been like, I love this, but if we just made it so that you can't buy your abilities on an eco and then potentially have them to win the round with no punishment, because obviously if you just don't use them, if you're in like a 1v5, you're Sage with a wall, okay, screw it, I'll use the wall next round. But maybe you use it to Ninja Defuse, you know what I mean? It's like, there's so many different issues there with giving players too many opportunities that it makes it feel like anyone can win any round. And I don't really like that, especially classic right click for a long time has been the a clear display of that. Even now that it's nerfed, it's still incredibly strong. So for me, it worries me a lot. It really does. I don't think it's going to like change the game completely, but I think again, it just makes that little bit easier to play low econ and to not be punished for making mistakes and to play riskier in terms of like, go for that extra force by rifle because fuck it, I'll use my my sheriff next round or something like that. Or as we'll talk about later, the ability to then make the Spectre, make the Stinger. Hell, Lothar's little right click strat with the Stinger might come out. Because screw it, I've also got the ability to play with this little sheriff. So it's it's a little scary to me.
Look, if I'm gonna go into an eco round as Chamber, I buy 2 or 3 bullets. That's gonna cost me 300 credits, right? Then
You probably did anyway, right?
Like normal people. Yeah,
right.
Like pro players.
Yeah, 3 bullets, right? Then I'll spend another 200 credits on a shorty, and then I'm gonna drop it in a corner. And then I'm also going to make sure that I keep a classic in my hands so that I have a classic as well. So I have 3 guns to work with on Eco. So I could go long range with a sheriff. If I miss those shots and then going mid range, I start bursting with the classic. I run out of those bullets. I hide around the corner, pick up my shorty. I kill some people, and that in itself is gonna be pretty annoying to deal with.
Classic shorty headhunter.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fucking insane. Pistols are strong in this game. You're telling me like you hate me, but it's gonna happen. It could happen.
Yeah, I mean, if Vance has thought of it, Mitch, I hate to break it to you, mate, but yeah, someone else might have come up with that idea as well. You know, I'm not saying Vance isn't the first, but he sure as hell won't be the last.
I mean, I did talk about KO being good. I did talk about C9, you know, winning LCQ. I think I'm gonna be right about this one as well.
All right, I think there's a video also. I want to run this one. This is where you know, Ryan and our developer from Riot, whose name unfortunately I don't have right now, sorry. They discuss some of the strength of Chamber. I don't know if have we run that song? No, we should run that now.
Yeah,
let's
do
it.
More.
Daniel!
I think the other thing too that doesn't get talked about a lot yet, and we'll see how it plays out like as the character launches, is that like because Chamber has 2 teleporter like anchors, after the cooldown you can like return to the first anchor, and so there's actually like a lot of nuance in trying to understand like how to place both of those to have the best impact. Like where do you actually want to fall back to? Would you want to return to the place that you were before? Like there's a lot of like interesting kind of like mix-ups and mind games that you can play around the teleporters that I think until people actually really start playing the character, you won't really like kind of see or understand the impact of that yet. Yeah, I think one of the other things too, like as far as like kind of weapon loadouts are concerned, is like kind of like I mentioned before, we had targeted this character as being kind of the sniper character who likes using sniper rifles. I think one of the unexpected outcomes that we actually had was like because we gave him this the pistol is called Headhunter, right? He actually has the flexibility to use a much wider like set of guns in the arsenal that aren't just snipers. Like we actually have seen him use like judges and buckies and like close range weapons a lot more so because he has this like fairly accurate long range weapon as like a backup at all times.
Yeah, it's like when Jet players pick up a shorty as their pistol.
Yeah, it's even safer though, right? Like,
yeah,
you can go and play in hookah and have your judge on bind, right? You play in there with the judge and like you have your teleporter to get out if you need to. But let's say, you know, they didn't come hookah and they're on A now and you can rotate over and it's like, well, you have your headhunter to like just take long range fights now as you're trying to retake the site. You don't have to only have your judge.
Okay, that's great. I think Mitch, you touched on that a fair bit, right? Talking about like the kinds of weaponry that are now maybe viable to you, and just how effective you can be at 3 different ranges by the looks of things with Chambers. So, Vance, do you think he's a must pick? Mitch, are you on the same boat here? Because I know some of the early reports is that there's a little bit of clunkiness about Chamber, but perhaps that's more to do with people familiarizing themselves with his kit and not him inherently not being that strong.
Yeah, maybe. I think I don't necessarily think he'll come in and like replace a Jet. I think I'm more of the mindset that he'll be added to a roster with a Jet and just make the game fucking unbearable to play. Like, yeah. Well, realistically, you know, he doesn't have to play an operator. As I said, someone like Scream going around for those fights, and then every like 4 or 5 rounds at a minimum, you're going to be popping out with a 5-bullet insta-kill weapon. I mean, regardless of whether you're an op player or not, that is just an incredibly useful tool to have. So I find it a very, very scary prospect in the hands of some very, very solid players.
This is where it gets scary because, first off, he's maybe clunky on the attack because he's also, let's face it, a Sentinel agent no matter what. So a Sentinel agent, you never see that person being that first one going in and like trying to like be the entry fragger, right? So you'll have like the turrets being set behind in case you're going to the attack. He's the person that's going to be watching that flank, so the player is going to be able to play a little bit more passively with that and be a support on long range as like the trader when the other ones are moving inside the site. But where I have the biggest fear is exactly what we were saying about the double operator setup. Right now, if you have a Jet op and you now have a Chamber that's going to be opping as well, and it's a free op too when you're going to be farming ultimates with, for example, I don't know, maybe not on Fracture is a good example, but there's 4 orbs there. There's a lot of orbs that you could actually control either on attack on defense that could really change things, especially on defense actually. Like, you know, when you had a couple of strats of like, oh, well, CNET is opping on this site, so we decide to go on to the other opposite site and then just win that round, which was like 100 Thieves' strategy going into Berlin. So if now you're going on one side, there's CNET, but then on the other side, there's a person playing Chamber, then where the fuck do you go? When you only have one agent potentially that's going to be playing a controller for your roster, you're not going to have enough smokes to cover everything out. You're going to have to utilize a lot your utility a lot better and conserve that a lot better to push your opponents out of position so you don't get picked out. I'm talking about even the Sova and your Sky when you got to get these like, refreshed abilities that are available for these agents. I think it feels pretty broken when you're thinking about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So you reckon it's busted. Mitch, do you reckon this is busted? Because I know you said you had some concerns about the direction, I think, in terms of like the economy. Are you still concerned now? Seeing, I mean, at least Friday are aware, but are you concerned?
I'm concerned in the short term. The reality is I don't think we're going to end up in like the game being completely broken. As they said, they have their checklist, they have their things to look at, you know, if this, then this. But yeah, no, right off the bat, concerned about the economy, concerned about that agent in the wrong hands. Someone like Nats having the ability to every round one-shot headshot you across the map. Scream having the ability to disengage, whether he hits the shot or not. Probably won't change his stats too much, but it'll definitely help some other players. I think that's like, yeah, it's a lot. It's going to help in a lot of different aspects in the game and replace someone like, hell, even a Killjoy. If those pieces of information are put down correctly, and you bolster your own team's economy, it could be worth more. I think, obviously, ult to ult, lockdown can help you gain control of the map. This weapon can kill 5 people in 5 bullets. It's like, well, you know, those things are maybe in the right hands. You can make that trade. It's going to be pretty fucking broken in your ranked games for even a week or two, maybe.
Yeah.
Trade denial's really hard for like new players to understand. Well, new players don't trade, but when they try to and then they can't, obviously it can be pretty frustrating. So right now is a little bit of a minor issue with Chamber. It's just that the pistol is showing the bullet impacts incorrectly there. So, yeah, it's just a visual error, but still a little bit disconcerting. So we'll get that sorted, I'm sure, in no time. All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, the meat and potatoes, yeah? The substance, I guess, of some of the tournaments that we've seen, we're going to recover. We're actually going to get to cover Homegrounds, which now is a little bit behind us, but we still want to go back and talk about that one a little bit more. We'll talk about EMEA Game Changers 3 as well as the Valorant Elite Showdown we had over the course of this weekend in North America. We'll be back after the break. Don't go too far, people. There's more shit to talk on the other side of these messages. Welcome back to Valoranting, ladies and gentlemen. Again, like I said earlier on, last week we didn't have a chance to cover the RedBull Homegrounds because Ryan Central's alarm, his smoke alarm went off. I guess there was like a fire drill in his apartment building. This is the actual reason why. And he just had to leave the show. So these things happen. Me and Vans obviously sat there like, well, did you watch it? No. Did you watch it? We watch VODs, just not that exact.
Not those ones.
VOD.
Yeah.
I think what do we do? I think we just fanboyed over Arcane for like half an hour and then we ended the show. So
well, I mean, the show was fucking good. I mean, kind of had to
episode
mention
6
that.
was just.
I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen episode 1.
Oh man, yo, so
no. I had to wait to watch with my girlfriend when I got home.
Yo,
okay.
man,
I was locked into that. I really want to watch it.
Episode 3.
That's why I dipped on the Halo last night because me and Ashley was like, "Yo, we need to watch the rest of Arcane," and we fucking did.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
episode 3 is better than episode 6 of Squid Game here, Mitch, man. So.
Dude,
okay,
dude. Oh man. Okay. Anyway, so RedBull Homegrounds. Let's look at the bracket first of all. So it was best of 1, right? In the first few matches, yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
round robin.
Is this still the format where if you win on the opponent's selected map, you automatically win a series?
You need to win the first 2. Yeah. So the way it works is there's no bans to start with. You do pick, and so you have no insta ban. Your opponent can pick your weakest map, or they can pick their greatest strength, and it's something we talked to aNNja about from Vodafone Giants because luckily enough they were the only team that could make it there. And even then, there were only 4 of them there. David P couldn't make it physically just with COVID and that it wasn't possible. But they were playing from the venue, so we got to chat with them. We had like Jackie brought them around London, did a bit of content with them.
Oh, that's cool.
It was pretty cool to actually see players again.
Yeah.
And so we interviewed aNNja and we were talking, and I asked him exactly about that. You know, like it's a very weird concept that you can't come in and say, "Fuck it, let's just not play Fracture this tournament," because some cunt can just turn around and go, actually, yes, you will.
You're playing
so yeah, you have to be ready. And obviously it's a big risk because if you go into Fracture, you get fucked. And if you lose your home ground of whatever map you've chosen to pick out of the remaining 6, you then lose the whole series. So it's a best of 3 if it's 2-0. Otherwise, it's a best of 5 essentially. Which is, and aNNja was saying it's a really interesting concept. Like it's a fun concept. It's like it'd be a fucking nightmare if it was like VCT was ran like that. But
sure.
for like a once in a while, it's like fun to come in and go, hey, we got to play everything. So let's mess around a little bit. Let's figure out, different. I'm not saying like throw games or anything, but don't talk about BDS. But everyone else, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like, play comps you're not used to, or play a little bit more aggressive, try a different tempo to the game. And I know the players definitely enjoyed it, and we had some fun too.
Yeah, so obviously the first couple maps were like kind of weird because teams won on their opponent's map, right? And they just turned it into well, I mean, bring out the bracket one more time because I'm kind of just papega about this entire thing. Let's look at the bracket and we can look at some of the footage here. So, okay, yeah, sorry. From this point on, it's not best of ones, right? We're getting at least 2 maps played. Yeah. In each series. Why is it then? Explain to me here in this Acend versus Gambit game. Are there 3 score lines? 15, 13, 13-0, and 11.
Unless I'm completely brain farting, I think that's just a logistical error. Every single game that we had was 2-0 up until the final, which was obviously a little bit more extended. So I unless I'm completely forgetting, it's probably to do with the API. I think we had a game crash at one point. Maybe the API output that data and it just slipped under the radar.
I thought you guys had BO5s on semifinals all day too.
No, they weren't. No, everything was technically a BO5, but again, it had the home ground rule that if you win 2-0. So even the grand final could technically be 2-0 if it had have went that way. It would have just ended. But it just didn't, thankfully. We at least got some form of exciting game.
Just to add to that too, this is what I also like about these type of events as well, where you still have like your top 4 teams in this event that is going to champions, and then of course that debate's always going to come out of like saving our strats, not taking it seriously, etc., etc., etc. But I think what's cool is exactly what Mitchman is saying, where people could actually try and utilize and take advantage of this as scrims, as trying different agent compositions as to what may work, what may not work. And even when it comes down to like the same type of agent comp, you could still change your play style to see, does this work? How can we tweak this a little bit better so that we can add it into our main strat book going into champions? Which is why maybe you see some upset teams, some upset results, or some teams that feel like they aren't taking it seriously. But I think it's really, really good in terms of like getting those reps in to understand your own play style, right? You're not trying to beat your opponents by anti-stratting them at this point. You just want to use your own play style, your own communication, and what you've practiced to see what works and what doesn't work.
So what are our takeaways then from this then? What are some of the most interesting corollaries that we have as a result of this tournament? Again, with a different rule set, but who's looking good? Who's looking bad? Who's looking ugly?
No duelist on Fracture. Tell me about this, Mitch, man.
Okay, let's dude, there were so many things about that. Look at aNNja playing on a breach, running forward, like still trying to entry frag with a breach. I know he took Brimstone, and we were like, that's not an entry fragger. And he was like, let me prove you wrong. And within a couple weeks, we're like, okay, shit, maybe he is an entry fragger for aNNja. The same thing with breach. I was like, oh, aNNja's actually running forward. He's kind of flashing for himself here. Maybe it'll work out. And then within like 3 rounds, we're like, no, it's not working out. Let's not ever fucking do that again. And again, I think a lot of this comes back to, I'm not saying teams came in and went, I don't give a fuck. It's money. If you sit me down and say, you got to play this game, it doesn't mean anything, I'll be like, nah, I don't really care. You then say, but you can win 20K. I'm like, oh, all of a sudden I give a shit, or a little bit more. But like I heard firsthand from some teams, from players, that they were not like scrimming even before. They were like gone out to the cinema, or like just having fun with the team, or playing some weird ass games on Steam for those that were at home and all that sort of stuff. So like, this wasn't something, none of these teams came in at 100. Well, sorry, none of the teams going to champs came in at 100%. I can almost definitely tell you that. But it was experimentation, it was theory crafting, it was looking at new approaches that sometimes made them look like morons. They just got shat on. But that's how it works when you take risks. But other times, I'm sure they learned some things that we'll see working for us in champs. Not the entry frag and breach though. Not that. Don't ever. But do that again.
On theory crafting itself, maybe not with the breach, but looking at artists playing a Sova on Fracture, how did that pan out? Because for me personally, I was like, I don't feel like you're able to get too much value out of like Owl Drone on a map like Fracture.
Play on Split, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult to get value out of them from what we saw. Certainly when you're looking at playing versus aNNja, I think on a lot of the angles, when you open up into the past the choke points where the smokes are typically going to be, you're going to find value in having the recon to position to even pull them off their crosshair just to cause more disarray. I think his shock darts were decent as well for clearing up a lot of the utility, but
I think that's good. Yeah.
The reality is, like dealing with Magnum's trap wires and stuff like that. The reality is, though, I look at the majority of the games here where you have any sort of statistical anomaly, any sort of weird approach, and I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not drawing conclusions from it. I wouldn't even look at how any of those agents were played. And for example, the breach. It's not how you play breach in this map. It was crazy, but they were trying something new, off pacing, whatever the fuck, messing around. I don't want to make excuses for them, but I know there are excuses, and so I wouldn't draw conclusions from it.
No, we got Team Liquid versus Acend in the final, and it wasn't like one-sided, thankfully. Right?
Yes.
You know, we got a chance to sort of see the Team Liquid are looking pretty strong. This Nivera edition still seems to be, the honeymoon period still going strong.
It seems as though everybody's back on the same stonks as me of saying that Liquid is a potential big contender to champions, or now a team to deal with, and or a team to not take lightly. Is this what you're thinking as well now after seeing Liquid's performances during Homegrounds, Mitch, man?
Yeah, 100%. I have to agree. Liquid looked really, really good on an individual level. They were synced up well. And again, comes back to the fact that, you know, they weren't throwing, but they were making some risky plays. But you could see that there was intention behind it. There was, they were really looking to learn from this tournament ahead of their upcoming event. And I think that, well, I'm scared for fucking anyone playing up against these guys right now, especially like you look at how Nivera's playing. He is looking more and more comfortable within this team by the day. And it's not a comfort level with Valorant. I think we touched on it before. When he joined this roster, he'd been playing for like 7 or 8 months, just like matchmaking, constantly grinding it out there. But now, obviously, playing within a team is a very different vibe and a very different thing to work with than your solo queue ranked games. And he's more and more at home every single day. I fucking loved watching Team Liquid throughout this series, throughout this tournament, and knowing that it's probably not even the best Team Liquid we're going to see in the next like month or two.
Yeah.
Whew! Good luck, NA.
Well, I'm not worried. But the other thing though is on the other side of the grand finals, because even if Team Liquid won everything, right? The grand finals versus Acend, it seems everybody really just wanted to win. And that's what I like about EU, by the way. It's like, yes, it may look like sometimes it's not like A tier, S tier gameplay, but at least the teams really want to try to win, right? And looking at Acend, like, yeah, they lost like what 3-1 in the series, but everything was still like overtime, 13-11 or what the fuck, you know? So like, how good does Acend look going into champions after seeing them in Berlin?
Oh, spectacular as well. No, there's absolutely no doubt about it. I think when you look at the overall series, Zeke had one of the better performances out of him that we've seen for a while.
Yeah,
we've known for a long time. CNET is just, he's always going to be up top.
And played like 1,000 agents, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. The depth shown off, like you can see that Acend have got a lot up their sleeve. And again, comes back to the fact that every single map there went the distance and then some. You know, we had our OTs, or we had 13-11s at a minimum. That alone, I think all the narrative of like, oh yeah, Liquid are better than Acend. Come on, dude, it's a fucking couple of rounds here or there in a series like that. If you watch it, there were some wild rounds in there. Let's say. I again don't want to draw conclusions out of it, but both of these teams looked really, really nice, at least on a synergy level, especially considering that the way the veto system works puts you on the back foot immediately, because on both of the opening maps, you're either going to be super comfortable and like your opponents are going to be uncomfortable, or you're going to be in the same boat where like they have the opportunity to pick your insta-ban and force you into a very odd spot to start a series out. So it was a fun old tournament, I'll say that.
Now, there was a tweet as well, I think, that Zeke made about, you know, this topic of how serious people are taking it. Obviously, you know, I think it's, you know, like you pointed out, Mitch, like obviously there's a couple risky approaches here, but Zeke, I think his best point is made in the last paragraph of his tweet here, saying, you know, like these match conditions, these tournament conditions are the best practice for us. You know, yeah, it's not champions, but, you know, we have to play through a bracket. We're here in the same practice facility together. It's still important to take things seriously, even if they may be, as you pointed out, maybe trying a couple things, or maybe just taking some risks that they otherwise wouldn't take. But that, again, doesn't mean they're not taking it seriously.
So that's it. It makes sense to a sense to defend Zeke for those who would be going on Reddit and say, yo, lol, none of these teams are trying, and they're just fucking throwing games and just pugging it out and just doing whatever. But I think it explains itself on the third paragraph that yes, it may look like we're not really trying, but they are trying in terms of practicing on different things. I want to reiterate that again.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
always the thing that we said
fine.
as well. Like, you notice the difference, like when we were building the Alliance team way back, and like in the very early days, you're scrimming, everything feels like so great. You get to this like fantastic point, like honeymoon period, where you're like, wow, this is really fucking working, man. We've got to figure it out. You play your first official, and even though the first couple they went really well, like obviously it was a straight run or a little hiccup and then into Masters, but the official games, dude, people would just fucking crack. Like players that before you would be like down 10-0 in a scrim and they're like, hey guys, yeah, don't worry about it. It's all good, whatever. Now they're just gone. They're quiet as fuck. They're in their own head. Like people start to really get boxed in. It's like playing a ranked game, playing unrated, and then your rank up game, right? It's like it's a whole fucking different ball game when you get shut down 3 times in a row and you're like, wow, I need to step it up. I need to make it happen. Whereas in a scrim, you're just chilling out. These sort of tournaments, invaluable for a team to go in. It wouldn't even matter if they're just messing around, purely to be in an official and get to play with your teammates. That alone, so much value. That's why we call for more games within like Game Changers and stuff, which obviously we have an insanely skilled female pool within EMEA, even though we didn't have a scene, like as in a supported scene, like tournaments and stuff going on. But once those officials come out, you just see the level of play skyrocket because it just brings a whole nother level of drive and of experience to these players.
Yeah.
And sorry, I wanted to just answer as well to Water Shallow here that says, what team would teams be saving? I guess strats. What strats would teams be saving? Yoru and Brimmy flank strat. I think it could extend. It's weird enough, but I think it could extend deeper than that as well. So, for example, if you're gonna use your Yoru or your Brimmy to flank, it could still be into a sense of like, okay, well, maybe our agent composition for this map could be something very similar to this with one slight change. And that slight change would, instead of being a Yoru or a Brimmy flank, what if we had this other agent, but everything else worked according to plan, right? So you like kind of try different things, but not necessarily based on the agent composition itself, if you know what I'm saying. Like you want to work that communication in that sense to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to start flanking, I'm going to start doing this, how do we push forward, how do we gain map control, and at least with our synergy in terms of moving as a team instead of like abilities, for example. So that's a great way to practice in that level too.
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways as well, or one of the key examples, if you look at Team Liquid back in the day when they tried to play with no smokes, you know, they obviously it had been working in scrims, came into officials, got absolutely shafted, and realized, okay, well, this actually isn't the way we can play. I think that's something that we have to, you know, really give credit to officials and to any team that goes into an official and goes, hey, just for fun, it's just a waste of time, you know, just a placement game. It's like, come on, dude, let's at least try to learn something from it. Otherwise, just waste it. Otherwise, it is just a waste of time, literally. You're just putting yourself further behind.
So let's talk a little bit about Game Changers EMEA right now, because I think Series 3 is currently ongoing. Now, like we mentioned earlier on, none of these games are really being streamed yet. So we couldn't really talk much to, you know, aNNja's benching from G2 Gozen and stuff like that. But they're looking pretty good so far here. Obviously dropping that one match to chat banned, but in general, they're sitting in third place pretty comfortably now, 10-star also. Again, they dropped that game to G2 Gozen, if I'm not mistaken. So that is their situation here. But this top 6 has a couple of teams that we maybe don't know too much about here. This is the, this is like that upper part of the bracket. Now, do we get, this is the group stage, right? The groups turn into, right, it becomes the bracket now. And this was after the fact here. Having a look at this, not seeing, I mean, I guess Supermassive players had to play against Guild X in that first round. But outside of that, look pretty cruisy. Goes in obviously 2-0 10-star in those quarterfinals.
So that's a revenge from G2 Gozen on 10-star, right? It's 10-star that's been winning every single one, right?
Yes.
So there was the cut in a while back. We had like so 10-star's been winning all the events. Yeah. G2 did beat 10-star before, but then 10-star came back and ended up winning the event. So this is a good revenge for them, knocking them down to the lower bracket where they're waiting for
them in groups as well.
Yes, and in this event, yes. So there's been a good bit of consistency out of G2. Obviously, you said they lost that map to Chat Band. Now they've got to play against Chat Band, but it's an upper bracket match, so there's not really any pressure on them. They'll go down and face off against a decent lower bracket couple of matches. Like, so they're not in a tough position. They're not really going to be that worried moving back into that, and I think it's going to be a really, really good game to watch. Guild obviously looking fantastic, being a bit of a surprise looking at Smaracus. They're I wouldn't have expected them to make it necessarily as cleanly through as they did, but when you look at some of the teams that are down below, like Rix, for example, you have literally got Chat Band, Rix, G2, and 10-Star all on that same quarterfinal side of the bracket. It's a stacked lower side that well, obviously put some great teams down below, but no one's out yet, I think, that I would have.
Right, yeah, no games in the lower bracket have been played yet, I think. This is even the lower bracket round one.
Some have in the very early ones.
Right, okay. Well, there you have it. Yeah, I mean, you see like Giants, Supermassive Blaze there. Heats, obviously, Fireflux female are in there, and a lower bracket round 2 proves to be pretty interesting stuff. Obviously not streamed. We have managed to see some footage here and there, but again, it's sort of been
POV
few
streams
and far between here.
Yeah, that's always the problem. Like the POV streams, to be honest, like one of the main problems with it is like you're it's gonna be good. You get a bit of exposure, a couple of viewers, fantastic. But then other teams can watch your VODs.
Yep.
So it's
here's our whole strategy book.
yeah. Here's how we play, officials. Just for
like,
you.
you have to. What are you gonna do? You're gonna mute comms to the streamers?
I feel. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, so I guess for me, what it comes down to potentially with what you could do with POVs is muting your microphone and keeping it in game. Because technically, what's going to happen when you're going to be watching VODs, if the VOD does exist,
have
and
to
you
mute comms apparently.
Exactly.
No way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, even the main microphone user, right? The main streamer. Because usually, when you stream your POV, you hear yourself talking, like your community hears you talking to your teammates and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So like mute everything, just keep the in-game in. Technically, if there was VODs, if you're going to be streamed anyways, let's say a team follows Cloud9 or TSM, whatever, somebody's going to be able to watch that tape and study anyways and have assumptions as to how you play because you don't hear the comms. So you'll still be at a disadvantage. Yeah, exactly. So you won't have a full disadvantage, but you still have some disadvantage by giving your POVs.
Right. Well, so yeah, I mean that's ongoing. So you guys can obviously I follow along with it on VLR.gg. You can follow along with that and see how that all wraps up. We still obviously have the lower bracket to be decided, and that looks pretty good. So we had another tournament over the weekend. This one kind of crept up on me a little bit here. The Valorant Elite Showdown. Smaller tournament, but still managed to garner a decent amount of participation from relatively known quantities, right? TSM Academy's in there, Ghost, Renegades, Saw Gaming, Knights is in there, Anbox, Immortals, BBG, Pioneers, Cloud9 Academy, NRG, Evil Geniuses, Complexity. Okay, so
it's a good
appetite for many of these teams for competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
see that.
even when before we got into these playoff rounds, because we went into open qualifiers where 128 teams actually signed up to this tournament, and it was I think BO1s or at least single elim BO3s until you got into the top 16. So then the 60 teams qualify into GSL groups, and another 32 teams, including the version 1s, their NRGs, their Immortals, the BBGs of the world, are invited into that. So it creates 16 groups, GSL style bracket to be played. And then you get into like a top 16 or something in terms of playoff bracket. So it was like a very intensive 4-day event for all of these teams, which is why normally it's normal that you're not able to stream every single game. But what I did like this time is that community casters were actually still able to stream on their own streams. So a shout out to
nice.
Breaky CPK and for him to be able to run that stream, and for Delta to be able to put her reps as an observer to help him out.
I think that's what we were asking for.
Exactly, and we got that. We got that.
Okay.
So that was a good part of it as well. So good on them to be able to do that. But the tournament itself, super fun to watch, actually, because for the games that I was actually able to watch, maybe not the games that I was able to cast, but the ones I was able to watch, there was a lot of these games that went actually into overtime. So when we talked about, for example, Nbox that picked up Mummy, and also a trial from the Sonics coming to play with them. You know, we mentioned last week is like, yeah, the roster seems decent, but I don't think it's going to be at the level that's going to topple down like the 100 Thieves or the Envies of the world yet. And you already see it in there that when they're matching to teams that are about their equal level so far, such as BBG, they actually did lose 2-0 onto that.
Obviously, Dapper had to wade into the discussion here on Twitter, obviously, and shared some of his reaction to the results of some of these matchups.
Yeah.
So I think now what this is, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's version 1 and NRG losing.
Yes.
Their specific matchups here.
In one map.
Yeah.
Their first map. So their first map in their own GSL groups, they lost one map to teams you might not have heard of in the past, right?
Yeah.
If you're actually following the tier 2 scene very closely or whatnot, maybe some of these names are familiar. But overall, if you're actually just following the scene of Valorant in general, from the tier 2 to the tier 1 to the NSG monthlies or whatever, you have never heard about these teams, and somehow you still have version 1 and NRG that lost a map, which tells a lot, right? I think in the end, it's what's going on with version 1, what's going on with NRG. They're just trying to feel things out, right? Because even for version 1, if I'm not mistaken, they switched out from Effie's to Zelsis actually IGLing right now, which is another big surprise to me because Odorous was an IGL for KCP. You'd think it coming into version 1 as an IGL to help out the team, but he's still playing just a Sentinel to frag out, and we're was
he calling on Dignitas?
So from my no, we had Def that was calling for Dignitas when it was him and Som, and then Poise that was still in that roster with Odorous was helping Def with like tendencies and stuff like that for teams, but the main IGL was still Def. But I think it was maybe one of the first times that Odorous took the helm and IGL'd for KCP. And going into this roster right now, we went from now Vanity to Effie's to Zelsies and now to Odorous. Yeah, that's another
Holy
good thing.
fucking
Penny was able to pop off, man. Penny was back to like the Penny form that we saw in Iceland, which was fucking great. So there's definitely some good promise looking in for version 1 into the future.
Yeah, okay, good. Because, I think obviously after Vanity left his team, like they lost a lot of clout, you know what I mean? And maybe sort of fell off people's radars, especially with like the weird situation with like Zelsis obviously having to step back for a while and the sort of whippy situation and a lot of confusion about these. Fuck me, like this team not being able to get their core 5 in game. So, but yeah, look, people saying in chat they're surprised about KCP. Looking at KCP's roster, not that fucking shocking. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's look at the playoff bracket here. So I think what I'm surprised is to see Knights, obviously just roll evil geniuses and smoke in that quarterfinal here.
Yeah.
Teal seem obviously taking out Extra Entity and Saw. NRG obviously losing that Pioneers game. So there's a bunch of interesting matches to talk about. Let's talk about V1 versus Knights.
Yes.
I guess, which is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this in the finals?
No, this was still going throughout the bracket here where Knights actually beat version 1. I think this was in like the round of, I can't remember. It doesn't really matter at this point. No, it's not a finals match, that's for sure. But the thing that's good about the Knights, so they're it's really a one-way result so far on this map here for version 1. But Knights, of course, still able to pull through. The thing that's cool about Knights is that they also, like this tournament in itself, has had so many of these teams. I've gone through like revamping rosters and trials and see how this works. And for me, where you find a little bit of a little positivity in terms of this roster mania that's going to be happening so far within the next few months is that you're actually seeing the trials and the chemistry that could potentially happen between these trial players and the core rosters, and see if it could actually happen, if they could actually be signed up in the signed and picked up in the future by these teams. So Knights went through a whole roster change because I was still thinking in the past of like DSR and that, but Ziff is now maintaining at the core of this team. They looked really, really good. Ocean, where, I kind of joked around of like, oh man, him coming in from CSGO into Valorant, how is he going to be able to coach this team? But it looked really, really good. I think just the core in itself is like and somebody said in chat who Ban was playing for, and I said it was KCP, but he's playing for the Knights at this point. So now you have Ban that is a great fragger that showed a lot of promise with LG, but was underutilized, I think, because he was playing mostly a Sage, if I'm not mistaken, on maps like Acend. But this time he was playing like a Jet Op, Sky on different maps too, and he was popping off. Governor was a trial going into this roster, into this tournament, and all of these players. I mean, if you look at the frag distribution in the best out of 3 for most of their games, has been very even throughout. There's not really one star player out of anything, so it shows how every single player is very tuned in to the role that they currently play to be able to get such a good and far run. Because that finals game that they got versus KCP, that third map was a fucking banger.
So talking about KCP, I thought one of the more interesting matchups here was their go against this new look NRG roster, right? KCP, honestly, pretty stacked roster, coached by FrosT, who we know has worked with some of the very best here.
Yes.
This seems like a bit of a banger here. But look, NRG, again, finding their feet. I think Hazed was pretty public about that. We have two teams that are fucking stacked.
Oh yes, and NRG. That's the thing for me. It's like what the question mark going into this one, and I think it was Som that was also playing a KO on this map too against KCP, and it looked close. It looked good. I mean, it was not the best KO that I've seen because we were missing a little bit of like ground control or like utilization on top of the KO, trying to get these executions. But again, to what James or Hayes was saying is not really focusing on the whole strategy in itself. It's just to see how it gels well, what could actually work. And again, you're looking at this roster, and when they initially picked up Android for NRG, he was that star player that was like the star player for Nbox that had a lot of support there from Ye, for example, so that he could shine the way that he did playing as a Raze. And then he comes into NRG and unfortunately like kind of fell off in terms of like that star power, the fragging power that he has, but definitely does have that fragging power. It's just you're missing a little bit of cohesion in the team. Now you're putting him as a Cypher, which was interesting. He played a pretty decent Cypher though. I'm not gonna lie about that. When it comes down to like fragging abilities of these teams, if it doesn't work out, that their initial strategy doesn't work, at least they still have firepower to win these rounds back and to fight back for those. So a little bit more fine-tuning here from Hayes, and they'll be looking pretty good.
What about Knights versus Teal Seam? Is that what they fucking did? Or is it actually still... God,
yeah, Teal Seam, yeah. So we're going...
Right, Teal Seam, brilliant.
We're going back old school. I mentioned that on the stream as well because SEAL Team was like a group in like 2004 and 2005 that had like the Alice, the 3D Bombs, the Impulsive of the worlds that was like a method. So it was like basically an elite group to hang out on MRC, and you had to be like a cool West Coast person to like hang out with these guys in this group channel and this private channel. So I was always jealous that I never got a part of that. But now you're back in a full circle of Teal Seam that brings that OD to SEAL Team, and you have like two very young fraggers in this roster. Like I think you have like a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old amongst other players from like X Serenity, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely look good in terms of fragging ability. It definitely showed that they had some decent strat actually looking at this team, but long range or long term to be able to get these upset against these teams, it was actually quite nice to see. I don't think it's going to be a team that's looking to potentially all get signed as a group. I think it's a great way for them to get their names out and to show what they're capable of and see if they can join any team separately if they can.
All right, we'll keep an eye on them. I really don't know a whole lot about that that roster there as well, but I think this is a tournament was a great showcase of like some of these teams that have just spent a lot of time together. Knights mainly, I think I'm quite impressed with them. So let's talk about them in the finals against KCP. Two fucking logos that I keep getting mixed up. And I introduced FrosT last week as the fucking coach of Knights. And I immediately wanted to douse my head in bleach. Yeah, poor guy. Fucking FrosT of all people, and I get the team name wrong. I was molding it myself. Anyway,
it's all good. It's all good.
Again, a great opportunity here to see sort of, we did and co in the structure of this roster. Like Stunny's here as well. A lot of great players on this team. And I think this is really testament to what they've been able to achieve with just spending this time together and, having FrosT's involvement. This is a pretty big deal. Again, every name on this team is like, well, fuck, I remember that. They were fucking nasty. Thief, Critical, JC Stunny, like, oh my God, all these genuinely sick players on this roster.
Oh yeah, and that's cool too. It's like we come back full circle with JC Stani. JC Stani for the longest time was like, I don't want to IGL, I don't want to play smokes. Here he comes playing as an aNNja, playing as an IGL, and he tweets it out later too. He's like, you know what, IGL's pretty fucking fun. Now that he probably has like a team that he can work with, and that KCP does show a lot of promise. They've already showed a lot of promise in the past before they got dropped, I think, by Beast Coast, and then now you see this formulation of KCP that you have now. I mean, Thief still as that Reyna, still playing very fucking well as that Reyna. Critical, very, very good Silva. We did had like his moments where, you know, it looked iffy here and there, but he definitely came in clutch into one of these rounds, or maybe even two of these rounds in the third map of Ascent, where he clutched it out for his team. And we saw like this huge battle of back and forth between Pioneers and Knights on that third map. And that was entertaining in itself. It felt like the match never wanted to finish until JC Stani in all of the OT rounds just said, we're going to find some way to just hard hit B. And if not, for the round that we win, we're going to default and then late hit B, and that strat actually worked. So it was actually pretty interesting to see like the tenacity of these teams, the tenacity of this roster, of what it could bring. But definitely like at the helm, like we had Fraud come on last week when he was talking about like what he's trying to bring into a team in terms of his coaching ability, his coaching style, is like coaching from like even an individual standpoint from time to time with his experience of like, how can I teach my players to play differently here and there. He's not going to show them how to play because technically they already know how to play, but if he could actually fine-tune them on decision making and whatnot, he's going to be able to provide that for his team. And I think it definitely showed in this sense. And to see that Pioneers and Knights, teams that you don't expect potentially to even win these tournaments, when you have the NRGs of the world, when you have the Immortals, Ghost, BBG, and version 1, and you have these two final teams that made it, they're on a nice upward path for Pioneers and for the Knights.
Oh, okay. So do we maybe we give NRG a pass here because of their more recent changes? What do you think about version 1 then in this tournament? Do you feel like they probably should have been able to perform better, just pound for pound against this field of opposition?
I think so, but also at the same time, like I said, I feel that it's understanding when you have a switch from like an IGL every single time. I think very unlucky for version 1 that since Iceland, it's still trying to find like that one little thing that could make them cross that hurdle, right? Because we went from not having Whippy to having Jammies, and then to not having Zelsis for the VCTs, then to have Zelsis but not have Vanity. Now you don't have Vanity and you have Effie's calling. Now you don't have Effie's calling, but you have Odorous coming in, but you have Zelsis calling. So they're still trying to fine tune like that last seasoning that's gonna be able to help them play to the version 1 that we know that they could bring in Iceland. So I think we may need just a little bit more, but in terms of like the core and the players in itself, I think that they have a good roster for that. It's just how you develop that a little bit more, because Penny actually did look pretty good this tournament as that Jet.
One of the key things as well, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole tournament was single elimination, right? So like they lost the one game. It's one little hiccup. Like maybe things could have been different in a double elim. Like I mean, we just talked about Game Changers. 10-star went down. I think they lost to G2 in stage 2's Game Changers, and then they reverse swept and ended up winning it for the second time in a row. So makes a big difference having that lower bracket.
Yeah, I agree. The double elimination definitely will help, but you see how heavy and how stacked this tournament was in terms of format, right? So it's hard to do a double elimination at this point when you got like 120 teams plus 32 playing in 4 days. So props to Community Gaming to be able to put that together. Props to Sash Dean who was at the helm of organizing all of this. They did a tremendous job to actually showcase a great tournament for like that tier 2 and that tier 1.5, as I like even call it. But Mitch, you talk about let's give NRG a pass. I don't know if I'm going to give NRG a pass at this point, because we had this. I mean, I was going to show this tweet. I don't know if I can bring it up, Daniel, but this tweet that came out here from Hazed saying like, hey, man, we got a long way to go. There's a lot of our games that went into overtime. There's a lot of games where they had a lead that went into overtime. And I think even one match versus A Crew, they were winning like 12-1 and they lost, or 11-1 or something like that, and they lost 13-11 or lost 14-12 in overtime. Like the lead slipped slips through the fingers, but he says what's important for us is not a result, is just to make sure that we have good communication. How do you get good communication out of this when it's a 4v1 or whatever in the end? And just watch this play. We actually do have Neon that's able to do a ninja diffuse on a fucking 4v1. So for me, I did this on Split. I was like, oh man, I wish I clipped this. I could have the first ninja diffuse ever shown in like professional play or just in ranked play in general. But now here's a real ninja diffuse and that steals my thunder away. So how does this happen that you want to bring this communication up and nobody's watching it? Like he even got pinged from a recon dart. He got pinged by a recon dart and he's actually sticking it. And nobody's pushing forward. You have somebody at screens, and he's just jiggle peeking. How?
Unreal.
How? Now, I say that as a joke at the same time, too, because it's, like, funny how he mentions, like, oh, yeah, we're going to work on our communication, and this happens. But, you know, it's small hiccups. It's small hiccups.
Okay. All right. Obviously, they fucking need to work on that shit. All right. Yeah, look. Okay, I don't have a problem with you not wanting to give him a pass. It's fucking... I think that's fine. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
You want to look at a clip that doesn't make you want to fucking scoop your eyes out with spoons?
Yeah, do
Here's
it.
that clip of the week. Want to see some
good.
ninja defuse? Check this one out. This is fucking.
Well, that's the one.
That
yeah,
was it.
Yeah, that's the one right there from A Cruise. So it was. Yeah.
Sorry. I thought we were gonna find you one that would want to make you fucking headbutt.
Yeah, sorry, I was already headbutting even more. Like at this point, if you want to make me watch it twice, I'm definitely gonna fucking scoop it out with my spoon.
Roll it back. Roll it back.
Nope.
Get another
See
one.
you guys. I am fucking out of here.
So okay, we don't have to see that again. That was okay. That was cool then. I'm zoning out there for a moment. All right, so we have 2 weeks from champions. We are 2 weeks away, gentlemen.
Dude,
NA is looking very top heavy and not very deep. Europe,
as always,
is looking like they are pretty fucking stacked. Fans, are you still feeling confident about North America's chances here? FaZe has crumbled. TSM
that I don't care.
We're fucking shambles.
No. We're thinking of right now we're thinking of our 3 teams that are
Sentinel
in champions
signs
right now,
the dump truck.
And they're gonna fucking dump on every fucking team. And
what have aNNja been doing, huh?
So that's the thing too. aNNja looked really good, and it's a huge question mark to see how much of a difference not having mics and having Chet instead going into champions. Is that going to change a lot of how aNNja played in Berlin versus how aNNja is going to play now? And that's my biggest fear. But if they continue the form that they did in Berlin, I'm not worried at all. Sentinels, I think they're going to do just fine. Cloud9, I already have my stonks in Cloud9. I think for looking at tournament upsets, Cloud9 is going to be able to shut some people down in
okay,
in
do
champions.
you think that now listen, I think that team is fucking great as well, and I was on the same page as you, thinking they would sort of get through LCQ the way they did. I definitely had faith in them. Are Cloud9 a dark horse though at champions?
Honestly speaking, I think even if you want to look at dark horses, I'd probably even look at Full Sense in APAC or something. Or like the SEA region. I think one of these teams in the SEA qualifiers are going to be able to pull some upsets as well. Maybe not play super high, but I think they're still going to be able to like shut down some teams that, like, for example, Cloud9. For example, looking at the Brazilian rosters of Keystars or Vikings, I think that Full Sense could actually make an impact there. But if I want to look at the top heavy teams of like EU and NA, I think it's going to be a very, very, very tough debate between the 2 top North American teams of Sentinels and aNNja and Gambit and Liquid.
Okay.
I don't know who to choose between those 4.
Motherfucker forgot about CNED. That's cool. No
yeah,
worries.
I was gonna say, man, what the fuck did Acend ever do? Again, like they were so close to beating Liquid. So it was only a 3-1. Yeah, it was close. Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah, but
get
you know,
I mean, the maps were very close.
when it also
4 EMEA against maybe one of the NA teams.
When it
Maybe.
also mattered,
C9
when it
might
also
do something.
mattered, Acend also lost to a team that didn't even fucking make it through LCQ.
Listen.
What do you think it's going to hurt NA Vans that we haven't really seen Sentinels and aNNja at any tournament, right? Like we haven't
No.
seen them.
I'm not worried for them whatsoever. I think they're going to be just
I
fine.
mean, it does affect. I think it does. Here's what I think happens though. It will. So when you see people out there really bigging up Europe, just consider that it might be recency bias that causes them to do that, because we just haven't seen Sentinels and Envy for a little while.
Of course.
I think it would definitely affect public perception of NA's strength.
Yeah.
Because all we've seen recently is like European teams going at it, like, and having some really close, really quality games. So that's the only thing I would suggest is, you know, we sally forth from this show into the world of papegory and sort of hot takes on Reddit and anywhere else. Is maybe bear that in mind. All right, everybody, that's all we've got time for. I mean, I'm joking. We always have fucking time. We do 2.5 hour shows. This time, there's going to be a little bit different. We just have nothing else to talk about unless we want to go back around with more speculation. So we'll catch you guys next week with more Valoranting. Until then, stay tuned. And again, keep bigging up your regions. We're getting very close to champions. The hype continues to mount. See you next week.